Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast, where we discuss no BS fitness and nutrition.
We're your hosts. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jaime.
Let's get into it.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is it cold there?
No, I mean it's cold, but it's not as cold as January normally is. I feel like they kind of switched. Like December was bitterly cold, and January isn't as cold as normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It's just rainy and icky here.
It's like 30 degrees here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too cold.
Whereas normally it's like 20 and the lows are like -5,
my gosh.
Or it might be like 15 at this time of year. It's usually in the teens or single digits.
Yeah, 30 is not so bad when you
30 feels good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. All right, what you got?
Oh, I changed up my workouts again because
I know.
Because my back,
I
which
know.
makes me frustrated because I was really excited to get stronger. And I do think that program is still really good for somebody who maybe doesn't have an herniated disc,
Oh my God, you're admitting it out loud.
But for me, I think my spine needs a break. So I'm doing exercises that don't have as much spinal load, right? So I'm doing a front squat instead of a back squat. So I'm changing things around. I'm still going to try to push pretty heavy with my bench and overhead press. And I'm not doing deadlifts at all. I'm doing hinge exercises, but not like a full-on deadlift because I need a break.
Who are you even? Are you having an identity crisis?
I don't know. So this week I went back to full body, 3 times a week, full body. And then I'm going to do power and conditioning in between. Like one day, like today was power and conditioning. The other days are just conditioning. And I'm also doing some power exercises before in the beginning of my workout. And I feel really good. Already my back feels better. It doesn't hurt right. It doesn't hurt right now. Yesterday I did, sorry, my feet are sliding on my chair. Yesterday I did Romanian deadlift, and even that I felt it like pop. So I'm like, I can't even do that because I can go so freaking heavy. I could do like 185 pounds for 8 reps, which is a lot. That's like what my deadlift would have been.
I know.
Like, actually, that's like, I think that puts me close to like a 250 1 rep max with that amount. So,
how about a hip thrust? Can you do a hip thrust?
Yeah, I can do a hip thrust. So I'm doing that on Wednesday. But I switched it. So I only did 1 set of the Romanian deadlifts, and like that didn't feel good. And then I did like single leg kettlebell deadlifts just to put something in there. And that was fine because it wasn't heavy. But yeah, I think my back needs a break from everything. But anyway, the 3 full body feels really good. I love it. Yeah. I don't care what Jordan says. He's wrong. I don't know what his arguments were because I didn't listen to that. Oh. I did not. But whatever he said, he's wrong because it is the best of all of the splits. For many reasons. I mean, I love that I only have to do 2 leg exercises, right? I can give each exercise my complete all, and I don't dread it. And then it gives me room in between my workouts to do other things. I just like it for like a well-rounded program. If your goal is to get as strong as possible or build as much muscle as possible, then maybe it's not the best one, but I still think it's even good for that because, like I said, you could give each exercise the right intensity. But today was my conditioning day, and I did I did Landmine Complexes, which I've wanted to do, but I haven't actually put it in yet. So I did it today. And that was perfect. It was like the perfect amount of intensity, the perfect amount where my heart rate was in like the right zone. It wasn't too high. It wasn't too low. It felt like, so I test out other people's programs a lot, and I follow other people's programs to learn. And that's how I've learned how to like program a lot of, like, pretty much how I've learned how to program is following other people who've been doing this for a really long time, taking things from other people and stuff. And so I like to learn and like to try out other things from other people's programs. But then a lot of times when I make my own, I'll do it and I'll go, wow,
this is better.
I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt when I was doing that. I'm like, wow, that was perfect because that was mine. Nobody else's. And I programmed that, and it was like, I don't know, it was perfect. So love Landmine Complexes for my conditioning day. And complexes, if you don't know, it's like just putting a bunch of exercises together one after the other without a rest in between. So you're using the same weight. You're not going to switch weights. You're going to keep that bar up in the air the whole time and go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And so it works on your conditioning and your capacity and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to play around with some Landmine
conditioning,
Yeah.
similar to like the kettlebell.
I thought it was going to be harder than it was, but it was actually easy. I found it easier than a kettlebell. Maybe because it's attached. It's very easy on your joints. You know,
Right.
it's great. And I hit every single pattern. You know, I did a squat, a lunge, a press, a pull, a hinge, and anti-rotation. So I did everything in
you
one
went
complex.
from one of those to the other, all 5 of those patterns?
Yeah,
almost like a circuit, and then you take a break at the end?
Yeah, then I rested for 2 minutes, but I don't even think I needed like a full 2 minutes. Next time I think I'll just do 1 minute. Yeah, so because of the landmine, and landmine makes it easy. So I did a squat to a press, right? I did a squat to a press, and then from there I went to a single arm press, and then from there the bar. So once I land and I do that last, or once I bring it down and do the next one, I'm right in position to go into a reverse lunge. So I go from there to a reverse lunge, then switch side, do reverse lunge there. Then I'm in a really good place to do landmine. I do landmine anti-rotation. So anti-rotations means you're not like twisting with it. You're staying in the same spot as the landmine is twisting. And then from there, on that last twist, I can turn and do single leg Romanian deadlifts, and then do the single arm row. Then switch to the other side and do the single leg Romanian deadlifts on that side to the row. So it goes from one to the next and next and next, and it makes it
very
really
cool.
easy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I liked it.
Good. I switched to a 3-day a week as well because I was going to do that program with you. And then we did the first week of it, my husband and I. And then, I don't know, with you not doing it.
Yeah.
And then 4-day a week, I thought I was ready to go back to 4-day a week, and I just felt like I wasn't.
So you're not going to do that? I don't have to finish it? Because I only got like the first 10 weeks in there for you.
Oh, no. Yeah, don't worry. Well,
so
I'm basically taking the structure of it, and I'm just like tweaking it to make it 3-day a week. I'm taking, and then, yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing. But yeah, down to 3-day a week as well. And then when I tossed it to my husband, I was like, hey, and I suggested 3 days a week, and he was like, yeah, that sounds good. It's like, okay, let's do that. But it doesn't mean, like you said, it's 3 days a week of strength training, but it gives room for other things. So we're going to do a kettlebell conditioning day, and then a jog 1 day a week. We'll jog together. And then 1 day a week, I'm still doing sprints with my son. And we went to the field to do the sprints this past weekend. We've been going pretty consistently every weekend. And I noticed this is the first time that sprinting from one end to the other felt like nothing. It felt really easy. Like it was the first time where I went, okay, I think something, and my time has it went from, I used to get it in like 29 seconds and I'm all the way down to 22. Like I just book it and I'm there. And it's almost like I don't actually stop my watch because I wait till my son to hit to stop it. So I give him the ultimate. So I'm kind of just looking at it, and I swear it might even be 21, 22. Like, by the time I'm almost there, I look and it says 18 and I'm like, okay, like I'm, you know? And then I'm not that out of breath. Like I've been checking my heart rate and it's been like 170, 175, 180. Like it's very manageable.
It makes me jealous because I can't do that here. You know, there's nowhere to sprint because it's cold and snowy and there's snow on the ground, and I don't know where I would do it.
Yeah. Do you want to switch locations? I don't think you do.
I do not. No.
With how hot it is in the summer.
No. No.
Yeah, it's
especially
like
considering
beautiful.
it's still a little humid there because it's the humidity that I don't like. And
I think last week saw some mosquitoes.
Nope, don't want that.
Yeah, it's it's like, are you kidding
me? Here we have ticks. Although you do have ticks there too, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and roaches.
I don't want that. Well, we have roaches here. They're just not very common.
They're common here. Do you have skunks?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of skunks. Cool. You want to talk about the food pyramid?
Sure.
All right. So as we know, the new food pyramid just came out, new dietary guidelines, and I've been seeing a lot of mixed things. Have you been seeing stuff online? Have you been seeing people starting to review it?
I mean, honestly, I haven't been on social media much, so no, I haven't.
Yeah, I've actually not been on social media much either, but it feels like when I do log on, I'm seeing people talk about the food pyramid.
Like so I do this thing where I'll
this
open
is a thing we should talk about.
Sorry. I do this thing because it's like a reflex to open it, right? Open it. And then as soon as I see someone talking about something, I'm like, I don't want this. And then I exit out. So I may have seen people start to talk about it, but I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear crap. Anyway, go ahead.
That's funny.
Hopefully you want to hear us talk about it, though.
Well, you've already seen it. I know you looked at it, but I have it pulled up. So I don't know. Should I share my screen?
You can share it. Okay.
Yeah. And then we can We can talk about it page by page.
Okay, I didn't see the whole guide. Like, I didn't look at the whole guide, like, page by page. Okay.
Yeah, I got the whole thing here. So obviously first it's the pyramid, which is upside down now, which doesn't matter, right? Which direction you put it.
It wasn't a pyramid before anyway. It was...
Well, they changed it. They changed it from a period to a plate, a pyramid to a plate. Yeah.
So this isn't much different than probably the plate.
Probably. Yeah. I mean,
the
we're
old
back
pyramid,
to a pyramid.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because on the old pyramid, whole grains have completely swapped. For the old pyramid, when we were growing up, you had whole grains as like the bottom. That was like the most, you know, the biggest one.
Which is dumb.
That's pretty interesting. But what do you think about this one? Do you have, what do you like about it? What would you change about the way it looks?
What I like is that they added more protein because before it was like, I looked at it, and this is what I just got from Google, so I don't know if this is accurate, but I think it is because doctors seem to still be recommending this amount, was that the old pyramid was 0.8, or the old recommendation was 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight for protein, and now it's 1.2 to 1.6, which is so much better than 0.8.
Yeah, honestly, I was mega impressed when I heard that. And I heard we were, I guess, flipping through news channels just kind of coincidentally when they were kind of announcing it. So I heard RFK say that, and I was like, huh, awesome. Like, I was like, that's really great to hear.
I know, because you were just saying before that somebody's doctor was saying that whatever they were eating was like an insane amount, and they recommended they eat like 55 grams or something.
Yeah, she was like, especially, you know, post-menopause, you really need to have lower protein. I was like, oh my gosh.
Which I want to talk about that after we go through the pyramid. About the protein recommendation and how insane, if you think about it logically and you actually have any common sense, and as a doctor you think you would, because those people should be very smart, right?
Yeah.
Any common sense that does not make sense if you actually question it and look at it. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So there's a protein is definitely, they like doubled the recommendation, right, of protein. And I think that's great. So that works out to about, if you don't really think in kilograms, which I don't, comes out to about, I think it was like it's like 0.7 to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight.
It's 0.54 to 0.72.
Okay. So yeah.
Better.
And that's the minimum recommendation.
That's the minimum. Yes.
Which I 100% agree with. I mean, I just think, I just think that that's awesome. Huge fan of that.
Old was 0.36.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
I felt like Jennifer Coolidge just now. Oh my God. So you've got protein is at the top, protein and healthy fats, and fruits and vegetables are at the top. And then it goes down. And so I'm like I'm looking at everything that's included in this pyramid and thinking, like, is this in order of importance? I'm just curious if they must have been very intentional with how they ordered this.
Yeah, because like bananas are right towards the bottom, but like carrots are at the top. Yeah.
But then there's a bowl of beans and rice right above whole grains. Which the beans I agree with being higher than whole grains, but the white rice, I don't know.
Why is that up there? Yeah,
I don't know.
Weird.
I don't have strong opinions about it. It's just me hyperanalyzing it. What I disagree with, first of all, I think it's safe to say that most Americans don't follow this. No matter what you do to the food dietary guidelines, people don't look at it to follow. So we can just blanket statement that, right?
The only thing, because this is what they teach in school, that would be the only thing. Like, is this what they're teaching the kids? And I guess that's why it would be semi-important. But you know how I feel about the government generally.
Right.
They suck.
Right.
I'm not their biggest fan.
No matter who's in charge.
No matter who's in charge. So I'm not going to listen to their opinions. Okay.
Yeah. What I would change about this is you've got cheese all the way up at the top.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And whole milk and like very clearly a steak that has that, you know, marble fat in it. So this is still like, I know RFK's big on like the whole fats and animal fats and all this stuff. And I disagree with that. I think science disagrees with that. It's also got shrimp down below. Like, I like that salmon's up there. Olive oil's kind of up there, but there's really like an emphasis on this, like, you know, whole fats coming from proteins, which I would change.
Yeah.
Yet somehow butter has, you know, is down. What he likes, beef tallow, right? But still, butter being in line with grapes and bananas, I disagree with as well.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, I wouldn't put dairy so high. But do you remember in the 90s? I always laugh about this. Do you remember there was a whole campaign about people needing to drink more milk. It was like a thing. Everyone, it was like those Got Milk commercials. Everybody, it was just so funny to me that there was commercials that were just for milk, not a brand of milk, just milk in general. Like they were just promoting milk very heavily. So when we were kids, we had a lot more. That's what it was. It was like the dairy industries weren't doing well, so they had this like campaign for that, and it fixed it, and they did much better.
Yeah, that's too funny. With the milk mustache and everything.
Yeah, all the celebrities. It's funny.
So yeah, that's what I would change. I would de-emphasize. I love that protein's up there, but I would emphasize lean sources of protein, and I would de-emphasize fatty sources of protein, unless it is like salmon belongs up there. Unless we're getting like those omega-3s, and those heart healthy fats. I like, so some of the things, you know how you'll hear stuff in the media, and then and you know, a lot of things are blown out of proportion and stuff. So I don't know, the whole war on seed oils and stuff, but that doesn't seem to really be represented here.
Yeah.
So I like that. The other thing that I notice when you read this is, so there's this kind of heavy emphasis on this whole fats. And even when you scroll down and you read about it, it's like we need to. So I like also the very first recommendation when you start doing the list of recommendations. So you get beyond the food pyramid and you start to just read the headlines that they want you to read. The very first recommendation is eat the right amount for you. So it's a heavy emphasis on, like, you know, whatever the composition of your diet is, number one, most important thing is to make sure that the total amount that you're getting is right for your body. And I like that a lot. And then the very second recommendation is prioritize protein at every meal. I love that. The third recommendation is consume dairy. It says to make sure you include full fat dairy with no added sugars. Okay, sure.
I wouldn't be that. Wouldn't be third on my list though. Is like you could literally not eat dairy at all and you'd be fine.
Not at all. This should be fruits and vegetables, which is fourth.
Yeah. No, that should be above dairy. I don't know what that's about. That's weird.
I don't think dairy should be on there at all, actually, because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 recommendations.
Not that I think dairy is bad. I just don't think it should be that highly emphasized that that's something that you need. Yeah.
And I think that because dairy is one of a huge source of vitamins and minerals in terms of, because it's fortified, right? So it can give, especially kids, like a lot of vitamins, minerals they might be missing just by drinking milk. But it's not milk necessarily in itself or dairy in itself. A lot of times it's the fortification of it that gives us the missing, the vitamin D, etc.
Yeah.
So that's the third. Yeah.
I mean, that's not fortified. That comes with it, but yeah.
Well, it is. I think it's also added extra calcium.
Is it?
I think. I could be wrong. I know, obviously, with nut milks, plant-based milks, it's fortified.
But dairy, it's naturally in there. Unless they took it out and put it back in, but it should naturally be in there.
And the fourth recommendation is eat vegetables and fruits throughout the day, colorful, variety, etc. They say vegetables 3 servings, fruits 2. Okay.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
If that's the minimum.
Right. Should be the minimum, not necessarily the goal. The next recommendation is to incorporate healthy fats. And this is what I thought was interesting. So there's this kind of heavy emphasis on like these protein fats, right? Dairy fats and full fat meats and it's stuff like that. But yet under here, it says, in general, saturated fat consumption should not exceed 10% of total daily calories.
Okay.
And all of those fat sources that seem to be highly emphasized are saturated fat sources.
It kind of contradicts itself.
But they also say, which I also agree with, significantly limiting highly processed foods will help meet this goal. Which is true. So if you just, when cooking with or adding fats to meals, prioritize oils with essential fatty acids such as olive oil, they say. Other options can include butter or beef tallow. But it's somewhere in this, I don't remember where it is, they specifically said to limit eating fried foods. And that I agree with. If people just didn't worry about like the saturated fats or not, but they stopped eating fried foods, that would naturally go down, right?
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that's a little bit easier to do for people, but it's harder for people for some reason to increase their omega-3s and even omega-6s and like other forms of fatty acids. So I think the imbalance is still going to be there. But it says here, healthy fats are plentiful in many whole foods such as meats, poultry, eggs, omega-3 rich seafood, nuts, seeds, full fat dairy, olives, and avocados. So again, with the dairy. Yeah. Any thoughts?
So far, I like it. It's better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, well, there you go. The next recommendation is to focus on whole grains. So prioritize fiber-rich whole grains, which I think is great. Significantly reduce the consumption of highly processed refined carbohydrates, such as white bread, ready-to-eat packaged breakfast options, flour, tortillas, and crackers. Okay. Whole grain
Sounds
serving goal should be 2 to 4 servings a day, adjusting as needed based on your calorie requirements. I
like
agree
that
with
they
that.
mentioned fiber, but they didn't mention the amount of fiber. I wish they gave a goal for fiber.
Yeah, that would be another thing that I would, want to adjust, is talking a little bit more about fiber in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're overemphasizing like fatty meats and full fat dairy and underemphasizing, especially by putting whole grains on the bottom like that, which I think is fine because you get plenty of fiber from the fruits and vegetables
that's not
that
where
you
I
eat,
get my fiber. Yeah.
beans and lentils really are. So I would talk about that a little bit more.
Nuts,
The
seeds.
next, the next recommendations is limit highly processed foods, added sugars, and refined carbs. Okay. They talk about limiting added sugar and avoiding sugar sweetened beverages. I can get behind that. No reason why not. They don't talk about fruit being negative in any way, which is
that's good.
Great. Yep.
Avoid carrots.
Yeah, none of that. And then the last recommendation is to limit alcoholic beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And who should completely avoid it. And then they have a recommendation for sodium, which I thought was interesting. The general population, ages 14 and above, should consume less than 2,300 milligrams per day of sodium. I believe that who is it that recommends like 1,400 milligrams? Is it I don't know. It's another organization focused on health and blood pressure and it's stuff like that. And the recommendation's really low. Like the upper limit of sodium is really low. So this 2,300 I feel like is actually really practical.
Yeah.
Highly active individuals may benefit from increased sodium intake to offset sweat losses. So we're talking 2,300 is kind of like a goal for most people, higher than that for people who are active. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. I think sodium can be overemphasized sometimes.
Yeah, it's like a little side note at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no fear mongering in it. The recommendation, I believe, is higher than what was in there before. Yeah, the American Heart Association recommends 1,500 milligrams a day.
Okay. And that's a weird number because it depends on you can't just give a blanket number. It depends on your size and like it says how active you are, that kind of stuff. 1,500 for a man who works outside all day and is like working in the heat. I think he probably needs more than 1,500,
Well, it does say no more than 2,300 milligrams with an optimal goal of no more than 1,500.
Okay.
Whereas this is saying less than 2,300. So we're kind of just like putting that 1,500, which I think is practical. Very few people get that low sodium. You don't need it. And actually, I would argue that you probably do need more sodium than that, unless you have some reason why you're avoiding it. But for most people, they need more than that.
I mean, honestly, as always, if you eat whole foods, a lot of these things just happen naturally. You're not going to get a ton of sodium if you eat whole foods.
And it does say under the first line under sodium, it says sodium and electrolytes are essential for hydration. The general population, ages 14 and above, should consume less than 2,300 milligrams. Okay. And then more if you're active. So I agree with that. And then it goes into special populations. So then we talk about infancy and early childhood, which I kind of like because, so this is interesting. I wanted to ask you about this. So I liked generally what they said about infants and early childhood, like birth, because it doesn't talk about feeding your baby purees or cereals or anything like that. It just starts to talk right away about just introducing food without necessarily like a guideline on how to do that. But it says here, if your infant is at a high risk for peanut allergy, talk with your healthcare professional about peanut introduction as early as 4 to 6 months. This can be done by mixing a small amount of peanut butter with breast milk or formula, thinning it to a safe consistency, and feeding it by spoon. I do know that earlier introductions lead to less likelihood of developing severe allergies, but couldn't it also like higher risk of death if they do have a reaction?
Yeah, I would assume so, but I do believe that, like you said, if you introduce it sooner, there's a much less chance that it happens to be at all. So yeah, it's a risk reward thing.
Yeah, it feels
you're
scary.
The parent. You're the parent. You get to decide, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And then it goes into middle childhood and adolescence, which kind of highlights the same things that we talked about. It talks about like vitamin D is really important for adolescents 11 to 18 because of how quickly they're growing, nutrient-dense foods, leafy greens, iron-rich animal foods, and dairy. We really love dairy in this.
They really love dairy.
We really love dairy.
I wonder if they got a kickback from the dairy farmers.
Yeah. So this is, I mean,
dairy.
I honestly, the only things I would change is de-emphasizing the fatty meats and dairy. I think it's overemphasized, and I think like beans, legumes, and fiber is underemphasized. But other than that, I would say the big picture is a high emphasis on eating whole foods. How can you disagree with that?
Yeah, as a government, recommendation, this is like as good as it's gonna get. Like, it's surprises me.
Well, I don't know about that. Put me in the government, and it'll get better.
There wouldn't be people like you wouldn't survive in the government.
I wouldn't.
No, there isn't people like you there. That's why
I wouldn't recommend voting for me.
Anyway,
cool. So there we have it.
Yeah, I want to go back to the protein thing because I want to paint this in a picture that if you think about it logically, does that make sense? Does 0.3 grams per pound of body weight make sense? Okay, so let's say you have a 150-pound female. That would be 54 grams from protein that person would be eating, okay? Right. Which is only 216 calories, okay? And let's say their calorie goal is around 2,200. I think around 150-pound female should be able to eat around 2,200 calories, depending on how active they are or whatever. That means less than 10% of your calories are coming from protein. Less than 10%. Now, if you're a doctor and you're recommending this, how does this make sense to you? That means that leaves you 90% to come from carbs and fats. And we know that eating too many carbs, there's plenty of research that shows that that's not good, right? And same thing with fat, like especially if you're eating a lot of saturated fats and things, you know, if those are higher, that's not good either, where there's very minimal research that shows that high protein is a problem. So if you are limiting someone to 10% of their calories from protein, then the rest has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Which means it's coming from carbs and fats. And if you break that down, it might be like, let's say it's 30% from fat, 60% from carbs. It's 320 calories are coming from carbohydrates, which is 330 grams. That's way more.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Than somebody needs, than the average person needs. Yeah. To me, that, like, if you think about it logically, that doesn't make sense. I think most people would do better doing like 25 to 30% from protein, 25 to 30% from fats, and then like 40 to 45% from carbs, depending on how active you are, right? And, you know, all of that. But that's like me, I feel good when it's like 30, 30, 40.
Yeah, I agree.
And so recommending 10 just doesn't make sense. Like how, and saying that it's extreme to eat 25% of your calories from protein, does it make any sense to me?
Especially when you think about, because this client of mine and her doctor basically said, like, especially after menopause, like that the risk was higher. And that's, again, when you think about logics, though, like our bodies don't process, like don't utilize amino acids as efficiently without estrogen. And so if that's true, then why would that, like, that we should eat less protein? Like we should actually be eating more in order to counteract that effect, right? Yeah, super weird.
It's weird to me to wonder, like, where does this come from? Is it like a pushback on all the high protein, you know, talk? Or is it like I don't know. I don't know where these people where they get their ideas from. But if you think about it logically, I like how you looked through that pyramid and whatever logically without thinking about keep having any biases of how you feel about the administration or anything in your head as you're going through it, right?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, minor things, but now I want to go back, now that I've like fully gone through it and formulated my own opinion. Now I want to go see what other people are saying online, because I've seen people, that are like, this is trash. And I'm like, okay, I want to know why. But I think, again, it's important to remember that whether you think it's trash or you think it's great, people don't really, like you said, like people teach it in school, but it's not like people are going and looking up the food pyramid to learn how to eat. Like this isn't really changing.
No.
Hopefully maybe it would help fundamentally change, but it usually doesn't. So
no. I don't think you, honestly, if in my opinion, I don't think you should be getting your dietary advice from the government.
And I don't think it's that much different from what the My Plate thing was.
I don't think it's much different.
I think the My Plate was very Whole Foods based and portion control based, and
Mm-hmm.
where it feels like a real flip is the old food pyramid that had carbohydrates being like the number one, like the
Mm-hmm.
biggest, thing on the bottom. So that's where it feels like a big flip. So overall, it's
Yeah.
just a new way of saying similar stuff, but I like it.
For in
Good stuff.
my it was in my home ec class, home, yeah, I don't know what it was called. Home, I think we called it home and careers, whatever that class, which was weird that we were doing like a health thing in there. But anyway, it was about the food pyramid. And I remember it was like this video of this girl about how she ate 12 pieces of bread every day and how she lost weight. And that's what they were showing us in school. And I remember watching it being like, that doesn't, like, even as a kid, I'm like, it doesn't seem right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think, yeah. Anyway,
So interesting.
weird
Very
stuff that we
weird.
were taught in the.
Yep.
No, side note. Okay, I always think about this. Like, I think about different generations. I know that you might not know the generations like or pay attention to this as much as I do. Because one time I was saying something about millennials, and you didn't realize we were millennials. You thought the
We're
younger
like at the
people
end
were.
of it, right?
We're like towards the beginning, actually.
Oh, the beginning of it, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. We're like a little older. But I'm kind of in the middle, I guess. But I always think about the different generations and how, different things in society shape us and who we are. And sometimes I think about like Gen X, right? They're kind of like this like very resilient group of people, and like they're not the kind that are offended by everything, and I don't know. And I think about what made them that way and the different way they grew up and whatever. And do you ever think, and this isn't funny, but it's funny. It's not funny, but it's funny because it's outrageous to think that this actually happened. Like, this sounds like something that would happen in a movie, but not in real life. But do you remember the Challenger explosion? Do you remember that?
Like, sparks of it, like you even just saying it. I'm like, oh yeah.
So there was this teacher that was going into this rocket, and they were going to let her, there was astronauts obviously in there too, and they were going to go to space, and all the kids were so excited to watch this teacher go into space. They wheeled all the TVs into all the classrooms, back when they did that back in the day, and everyone's sitting around getting all ready, getting all excited to watch this teacher fly into space, and the rocket goes up and it just goes.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine being like a child watching that? Like, what's going through your mind? Or as the teacher, like, what do you do? Like, okay, time for the math test. Like, what do we do now? But back then they didn't have like, oh, we need a safe space, or we need to go talk to the school counselor. And kids were just like, whatever, let's go about our day.
Yeah.
When you really think about how crazy if that happened now. Whew.
And Gen X are
older than us.
Older than us, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are like 1981 maybe? Or maybe millennial starts there to like somewhere in the 70s. I don't know the exact ages. Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. This is a similar topic, but my husband sent me this New York Times article he wanted me to read and talk about, and it was basically the idea that young adults now are finding it is so hard to like live the kind of like the American dream, essentially.
Uh-huh.
And they're not wanting, part of that is making them not want to have kids and like not have families. And it was like interviewing people, and it was saying basically the barrier to entry to a comfortable lifestyle that you can afford everything you need is $140,000 a year for a family. And
I don't think that's true. It depends on where you live, because here, if you had that amount, you'd be doing pretty well.
For the entire household? Or per
yeah that would be, you would be like doing very, very well.
But it also was talking about how there's a lot more people living close to the city now as compared to like the boomer generation. So there's a lot more people that are living closer to cities, which means that they're higher, cost areas to live in, and that's where jobs are. And so the choice is live outside, have an hour and a half commute, live outside, or live closer to work. And then these people, there was this engineer, this young professional engineer who made $90,000 a year, talking about how he felt like he couldn't really afford home ownership and children and a family because all of his money went to like the basics. And they were generally talking about like, well, if I'm gonna live like very much sacrificing in order to be able to have a family, I'd rather just not and live a little bit more comfortably and be able to go out to eat and like travel. And so younger people are choosing, like, I don't want to tie myself down for multiple years just so I can have kids and have a traditional family structure. I'd rather forego that and live more comfortably. And so Don and I were talking about, like, what do we think about this? And I think it's kind of double-sided. I think that, yes, I think that the cost of living has risen a lot. It's no longer, you can no longer be a teacher and like support your family on an income. Like you can't, it's impossible. So you have to have like two working people or one person making a lot of money.
You can.
Right. Or you live like a little bit further out and there's like sacrifices that you have to make.
Teachers make a lot of money here. It's weird because everyone talks about the teachers don't get paid. Where I live, they actually get paid very well. Like not like
what's very well?
Like 80, 90,000.
Yeah, that's really well. But that's if they've been there a while, I would think.
Like even like because they'll show you the like list of teachers. And I remember Wayne and I looked at it before and it was like even the lowest paid ones were like 60, 70, somewhere around there. So yeah, they get paid very well here.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. But
anyway,
I think the other side of the coin is I'm curious what you think about this. I think younger people too, there isn't back then and like the boomer generation, it was the expectation of a society as a whole that you got married, settled down and had kids. And so even if it's somewhere in your mind, you didn't know if you wanted that, you kind of did it anyway. But now, and I think part of it's with social media and seeing all of the possibilities of ways you can live and things you can do and places you can go, there's more of an expectation of live your life how you want it and you don't have to and so there's a lot more people that are like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to eat out. I want to live this like different lifestyle. And it's interesting.
Yeah. There's a big debate, right? Because our population is not growing like it's like they want it to, right? And but I also think that as always, it's like an individual choice. Some people shouldn't be parents.
Yeah.
Some people wouldn't be good at it or they would be miserable doing it because they would have to give up, certain things where for me, like I wouldn't trade that for my like being able to just go out and go wherever I want whenever I wanted. Like I don't know, they give me a purpose, I guess. When it comes to the things are more expensive now, I agree. But we have our standard of living is so much higher now, and that's
so true.
Why. Because like
that's
before
true.
We didn't have cell phones. We had one family car. Houses were smaller. Like if you look at the average like housing size, they were a lot smaller. Plus, like our house was built in the 50s, right? It has like one outlet in each room. You had like one light. You didn't even have a washer and dryer. This house didn't come with a washer and dryer room. We had to like renovate it to give it that because they didn't have all the appliances and all of the things that we have now. So even though it's harder, it's like a higher barrier of entry, you're starting with so much more than you used to. So like our standards are higher.
Absolutely.
And I think why.
There was one family that they highlighted in this article that was one was an artist and one was a teacher, I think. So relatively lower income. And they lived in this 2-bedroom bungalow in a kind of a really nice area, right? So they were saying and they have one child. He looked like he was like 2. And they were saying, we're really glad we bought this when we did, because if we were buying it now, we wouldn't be able to afford it. But she was talking about how her next door neighbor, who lives in the exact same size bungalow as her, but is an older woman, raised 6 kids in that 2-bedroom bungalow. So because this family was feeling like we want another child, but we don't know if we can support another child like right now. But then she's like looking across the street and we're next door and being like, this woman raised 6 children over there. But she also said, but the expectation, life was different. She could send all of her kids outside for the entire day, not knowing where they were. And the world isn't like that now. And even if we wanted the world to be like that and shoved our kid outside, there's no other kids out there. And there's people calling the cops because you shoved your kid out there.
You can't even if you wanted to.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, we're starting off with so much more. We have more expensive things. Everybody's got to have their own car, the newest car. Everybody's got devices, expensive devices, in every room and in every hand. But then also our expectations of like how we parent. We're so involved with our kids and we're so like in it. And granted, it wasn't necessarily perfect before either. But, there's a middle ground and there's a balance. But that was an interesting point as well.
Yes. It's hard to compare the two. It's hard to compare one to the other. Even if you compare like housing prices, because people say they're way higher now than they used to. But it's like they're bigger. They come with more stuff. And it's kind of hard to compare one with the other. And they're built different. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. Yeah.
And it's interesting too. This isn't like health and fitness related, but I think it kind of is. we have a friend who is she's a single mom and definitely low income, very low income. But she recently bought a new car, and she pulled into our driveway recently because they were just driving by, so they stopped by to say hi, and she had like a pretty nice new car. And I don't know cars very well, but Donovan did make a comment like that's a decently nice car. And I have a 2018 Toyota Sienna. So it's a good car, but like we purposely stayed under the 2000s because that's when you get like it's a pretty good price. We opted out of the hybrid. We're definitely paying we have a car loan for it. And my husband still has his 2009 Honda Civic from when we met. And it's paid off and it's running. I mean, he takes good care of it, but it's like you can't push the button on the air conditioner because it might never click back. Like there's all these like little rules you have to make sure you follow so you don't like break the car. And she pulled in and she kind of made a joking comment about, oh yeah, well I do have a car loan. Like I know you guys probably don't like know what that's like. So, and I was like, what? Like, yeah, we have a loan. Like we have a loan on this 2018. Like look at my husband's car over there. But him and I were talking about it later, and we don't want to pass judgment because everybody chooses to live differently. But that was an idea of like, there's so many people who don't make a lot of money, but their standard of what they need to have and what they need to show the world is so high. And like we make more money. We make pretty good money for, whatever percentage wise, but we purposefully try to take the things that don't really matter as much, like cars. Like I'm sure one day we'll get a new car, but it's like, it's very practical. We feel like it's very practical. So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
When you
and
look
like,
around.
And people buy new cars and like the average car loan is something like $750
That's crazy
a month or something. It's an insane amount. That to me is crazy. And I don't know, I grew up poor, so it's really hard to compare maybe what like an average family would have been like when I was a kid compared to now. But I just remember like things that I thought people made them rich is just so funny. Like you had 2 refrigerators. Like if you had a garage refrigerator, I was like, whoa, that's cool. Right? Or if you had a trampoline or a pool or something like that, I automatically was like, wow, you guys are doing well.
Yeah.
And that's just like normal now.
Yeah, or it's how people show their money, or how people, my son will make
Yeah.
comments when he sees people in a nice car. Well, how much money do they make? They must be rich. They have this really nice car. I'm like, we don't know. It's how they use their money. We could have 2 really nice cars right now. We don't want to use our money that way.
Yeah.
We choose to use our money in other ways. Because meanwhile, these people are, drowning in debt and don't ever travel anywhere, but they have a really nice car. So.
Yeah. We just bought a new couch. And I've wanted a new couch forever. It's not like a huge expense, but it's, pretty expensive. But it's like our old couch was like over 10 years old. It was older than the children. We had it forever and it was starting to get really worn out. It still worked though. Like the recliners were it was like a leather one and the recliners were like automatic. I don't know what you call it. Like, what would you call that? Anyway, not manual, but like, automatic, I guess. You press a button and they open and this all still worked and everything. But I was like, it's time for a new one. But yeah, that's how we are. We don't just buy things every time, we want something new. We try to save our money as much as possible and not live up to the standards of the world.
It's very fascinating. Or when you hear young people say like, oh, the house and now I have to furnish it, so I'm going to go buy all of this furniture all in one swoop at a brand new furniture shop, and I'm here on Facebook Marketplace like looking for a couch, and then next month it'll be like a dining room table.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd rather invest my money. All right. Want to go into some more wackiest things that we didn't finish last week?
Yes, you have a few more of those, right?
Yes, I have a couple more. So these are the wackiest things I've heard influencers say. So if you missed last week, go back and listen to some more fun ones.
Right.
Okay. I haven't read these since last week, so I don't even remember what they say. So I'm just reading it. I'm just going to read it off of here.
Cool.
It takes very little fruit. We're talking about half an apple a day to be putting on visceral fat. The reason is we don't need that much glucose. Our bodies aren't designed to utilize that much of a glucose hit. And then she goes on to say that meat can be turned into glucose and anything extra just gets turned into fat.
So don't eat meat or more than half an apple.
Well, she's like a very big proponent of meat, carnivore, eat as much meat as possible. But that's all the glucose that you need is from the meat. If you eat more than that. It's going to get turned to fat.
Because your body loves turning meat into glucose.
Yes, it does. It does that a lot.
Yeah,
right?
super efficient.
Half an apple.
Oh my gosh.
And you're going to start putting on visceral fat.
That's insane.
These people. She's one of those people with anytime I hear this woman talk, I just, she has like the blue light blocking glasses that she wears like all day. You know, she's always wearing those. You know, you can get this
epitome of
picture.
health.
Yeah. But she's like, half the stuff she spews just doesn't make sense.
Don't eat more than half an apple or you're just going to gain visceral fat.
Yeah, because there's just people walking around throughout the world that they just ate too many apples. That's what it was.
That's the obesity epidemic.
Too many apples.
Yeah. What a sad world.
Okay. This one's fun. Okay. Sorry.
I like how you just start laughing before anybody knows what it is.
Because I'm just thinking about it. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to get through this one. Because when she said it, she was talking. I'm like waiting for her to get to the punchline of what she's going to say, but I was not expecting. This is not what I was expecting.
It can't be worse than your air fresheners are making you gay.
I don't know. Get ready. If you're craving baked goods or gluten, pizza, pasta, breads, croissants, usually what you're craving is the energy of your father.
What? Are you for real?
And then she said if you're craving dairy,
is that the energy of your brother?
You're craving your mother.
What the heck? Are you for real?
So anytime you're like, man, I really want some pizza.
I'm going to call my dad.
What you really want is to go call your dad.
Yeah. And what that really means is you're always craving your dad. You just constantly want to be talking to your dad. Because who craves like dairy?
Yeah, no one craves dairy.
Got a hankering for some dairy right now.
Maybe
the new
cheese.
food pyramid would love that.
Cheese,
yeah.
I know, that's what I was thinking as I was reading it. All right, last one, and this one isn't fitness or health related, but it was making its rounds, and I've seen it. People talk about this one a lot,
oh
and
my gosh.
So you might have heard this one because when I saw it, I thought it was funny, but then it's kind of went viral, so everyone's seen this, and they'll comment this at the bottom of different posts and or something similar to this.
My.
Okay, so it was like this woman talking to a guy on his podcast, right? And she said she heard this from somebody once and it hit her hard or something. And anyway, and she said, don't love your job your love. And he's like, and then he's like, oh, I love that. And I'm like, no, you don't, dude. You don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Explain to me what you're trying to say when you say
can't that. Job something. Job is not a verb. To job. You can't. It's not a verb. It doesn't grammatically fit there. You have to, if you're trying to make it change, you have to change the word fundamentally because it doesn't fit.
And then so like people will just comment things like, yeah, people will just comment things like, don't drive your car your drive.
Right, there you go.
Like
exactly.
At the bottom of things. You can't just switch the order and
what
think
did
it
she
makes
mean
sense.
by it? What was her intent?
I have no idea. Because don't love your job your love makes it sounds like you're turning your love into a job, which means like that's not my goal.
Wild.
Like it should be it's just I don't know what she was trying to say, but the host was like, oh, I love that. You're a liar. You're a liar.
I won't placate people. If I get real big with a podcast and I have people come on, I won't do that. I'll go, huh?
No, I don't know what I would do.
Can we debate that one? I'm confused. What do you mean by that?
I think I would have been like, huh, what do you mean? I'm not going to be like, you're an idiot, but I don't think I would be like, oh, I love that.
Say that.
No, I don't know how to be fake. I can't do it.
I would say, do we see the fallacy there?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I don't think I ever told that story.
No, I think you told it to me after the podcast.
I just told it to you.
Over.
It's too embarrassing to say on the podcast.
Yeah, I just told Jaime that, I don't know how we're friends. Like, if that's what you talked to me like when we first met, I'd be like, this girl.
Maybe that'll be a teaser. I'll tell you guys that story on the next one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that one of the guys I like, Dr. Ids. He's one of the guys I like on
the one I don't like. Yeah,
but he's a doctor. He's a researcher. He's very logical, evidence based, in everything he does. And I haven't seen him for a while. Actually, he disappeared off my algorithm. That's fine. I haven't been on social media that much anyway. But I saw something on him recently. That he's basically saying that his desire to come out and like fact check people online is at an all-time low. And he was just talking about how how incredibly easy it is that you can literally have zero idea what you're talking about. And you can just put your camera up and say something very confidently. And if it has enough shock value, then it will spread rapidly and people will just believe it. And in order to debunk somebody and to get people to believe you that you are debunking them, the amount of research and facts and evidence you have to have in order to even maybe get half of those people to believe that this claim is incorrect and yours is correct. Yeah. He's like, the amount of effort that person put in to spread misinformation is like 1% of the amount of effort I have to put in to convince maybe half of those people that that's misinformation. Yeah. And I was like, that is so true.
That's why I hate social media. It's just like, yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
I want to say we're at the crest of that. We're at the point where people are understanding and realizing that that's happening. And it sucks because mistrust is at a high as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wouldn't say I hate I'm not a fan of social media, but that's why I hate posting on social media. That's why I've kind of like, I'm done with that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just I don't like the idea of that. The way you get attention is saying outrageous things.
Right.
And that's going to get seen more than, you know, someone actually helping somebody with something. Anyway,
yeah.
Podcast is better. There's a lot more nuance to it.
Totally.
And I like that much better.
Yeah, I could come out. I could like face the camera to me right now and be like, did you know that roaches transform? I could make up some crap about roaches, right? And it would go viral and I could get people to believe me. Yeah. And then some roach expert would have to.
Did you know that roaches transfer diabetes? Did you know that?
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not any of the things that they say it is. It's really just the roaches. Yeah, I could get people to believe me. I bet you I could go viral if I really wanted to. Yeah. Say enough shocking things.
You'll also get people to be like, this girl's an idiot, but it doesn't matter because now you have 1 million followers.
Exactly.
And people like the guy from the last episode that I talked a lot about, Gary Brecka. Like, he just says things with so much confidence and so much, like, he makes people believe him.
Yeah. I did that a couple times playing a game of Settlers of Catan with some friends over the weekend. Mm-hmm. And they would say something that was true. And I would just say, no, that's not how it works. And they would completely change what they're doing. And it's like, actually, that's the rules of the game. You're right. But I say it with enough confidence.
Yeah. And a trick, like if you're trying to figure out who is telling you the truth and who isn't, a good way to tell is if somebody talks in absolutes, then they're most likely lying.
Yeah.
Or most likely the one that's not. Like someone who talks in nuances and say it depends or gives you both sides of it or whatever, that person is more likely to be trusted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good note to end on. Thanks for listening. If you found this useful, helpful, interesting, entertaining, please leave us a 5-star review. We would appreciate it so much. Share it with a friend. And
I would love some people to give us some other wacky things that they've heard people say. That's a good one. I want you to comment and tell me, what have you heard that made you go, huh?
Yeah. Come again? We would love to hear that. Yes, comment below. See you next week.